Right, take two. Um, and I might even get the date right. It's actually the 3rd of 2021. No, it didn't. We're winning every day. Anyway, happy belated New Year to one yin and all, as we say from here. And it's been a strange one, of course, for many of us who are usually on the Swally in Scotland and with a lot of people. And if there's one thing that 2020 taught me, it was a sense of community and family, but not, I don't mean to demean family, but I don't just mean that biological family that we have, that relationship we have with parents and children and siblings. A family based on the common cause of what it is to be human at times like this in particular. And to find a common language with people for all the airs, as we say in Scotland, there's a sense of oneness and deep relationship. And if 2020's done nothing, it's given us the opportunity to explore and experience that. It's certainly been very rich in magic moments for me throughout the year, not least, of course, my beautiful pendant designed by my daughter Gwen and beautifully made by a very special friend of hers, soul sister. And when I think of Gwen, 50 years old, she would have been in November, and the very short and vibrant life that she lived, it just makes you very, very aware of living, truly living in the moment. Because the one thing that we have absolutely no control over, none, we were born with it, is the moment that we die. That we have no control over, unless we're stupid and reckless. But choosing to live fully in every moment, we have every control over. So thank you, Joanna, her very special sister from Glasgow School of Art. It has all the symbolisms that were in Gwen's notebooks that you copied, and I'm eternally grateful. And the beautiful citrine here, which again epitomises Gwen's very vibrant and passionate nature. She got that fair more. No, she didn't. Anyway, it's had these moments of joy, and I was going to give you a nice big long reading from my favourite link with everything that matters, and that's John O'Donoghue. But I've realised from the wee test bit that I put up previously that it takes a long time to load. So I won't be reading a lot. But one thing I do want to say, and this is a Glasgow granny talking here, and I've been looking at all your comments from all over the world about the new year and how glad that the old year is over and 2020. Yeah, it's been tough. It's been very tough. And toughest for those who are not here to to contemplate what 2021 might bring us. But I really want to caution you about this return to the norm. Oh, we'll all get back to normal and it'll all be better. And no. It was that norm and how things were preceding this crisis that got us to this point. And whatever part we individually or collectively played in creating the circumstances for what's happening to us all now, we really have to take some personal responsibility for that. So, for those of you that can't wait to get your bucket list started to tick off and get on a plane and fly to here, there, and everywhere. Just going to no do that. Just going to realise that the norm that we're suffering now, the ability to put the kettle on, to get warm in a bed, to flush a toilet, to eat a meal that's been delivered to us, to talk via this, to have the power to recharge the means of communication. These constrictions on our life right now are absolute luxury, untold, undreamed of luxury for hundreds of thousands and perhaps millions of people. That's their norm. And I'm pleading with you, especially those of you who should know better, and you know who I'm talking to right here. There is no return to what was unsustainable, to what was destructive, to what was unjust, and to what was essentially inhumane in our actions and our demands and our expectations. That's what's impoverished us, that loss of awareness and sensitivity to what it means to be human. And this is coming from one of the richest women on the planet. I mean, there's no bounds to my riches. But my bank manager doesn't agree with that at all. But he's coming round. He's actually coming round. He's at least held back the overdraft. But this past year, really has taught me what it is to be rich in the moment. And I'll share with you the one prayer which is in my mind. And I'm in a perpetual state of prayer. And the number 31 has just come up there, which is very magical for me always. And that prayer is just a perpetual thank you. Thank you. Thank you. So I suggest you practice it when you put the kettle on, when you switch the oven on, when you open the fridge, when you curry into the bed, and when you flush your toilet. There's people that would give their lives to have access to the water in that toilet to give to their children. That's the world we're living in. So let's go forward to a new norm of what it is to be rich in the moment, to share, to recognise that our sense of abundance comes from just allowing it to pass through, and to see the smile on the face of someone, one of my clients. I've been very busy, by the way. I'm counselling all around the clock. And one of the joys of entering into that space, a very intimate space with people, is that you see their growth, you witness their growth, and you played a wee part in it. And in recent days, someone I've been working with very intensely, and she knows who she is, has really come into her own. And this is the ultimate reward for any counsellor. We're just guides, we're just helping point in the right direction, but people have to find their own path, And to have witnessed her growth and maturity and tapping into her own intrinsic, born with wisdom, but reconnecting with it, you kind of put a price on that. The poor Donnies of the world haven't a fucking clue about the value of that, but he's getting there when they chuck him out from across there, I'll take him here and sort him out. So anyway, to share with you my other Celtic cousin and brother and soul brother, and a gift again given to me by my daughter Gwen a few weeks before she was tragically killed. Yet another book, and I've got a few. And this got stuck on the shelf to be read eventually. And when I came back from Chicago after her memorial service, it quite literally, and I swear this to you, dropped on my head from the bookshelf that I sort of bumped into when I lay down in grief. And I never stopped reading it for the next 3 days. I think I peed the bed. And I've just passed this book on to another man that I'm working with just now, and he's living in a van, and he's full of despair, full of anger, full of bitterness, and all very, very understandable when you know the circumstances of his life. But because he's away down in Devon, south of England somewhere, I really felt quite helpless at a point. I was getting quite frustrated. What can I say? What can I do? How can I guide him in the very limited means of communication we have via this? And I did suggest that he got a copy of Anam Cara, John O'Donoghue's Anam Cara. And again, I'll die happy knowing that I was instrumental in helping him over the last few days. We now have established a common language with John's help. And to know that even if he's sitting in his car overnight and freezing and the door's broken, and on my suggestion, he went into some bed and breakfast just to get a bath and a hot plate of porridge, And because he's got MS, he knocked something over and got shouted at. And there's just no limit to the inhumanity that some people express. What does it fucking matter that this man broke an ornament? But to know that he has a consolation of John O'Donoghue and is now sitting in that van back again because of bed and breakfast, waste of time. They'll learn. And the miracle that I shared with this other lass this morning was that after she left here yesterday and after my disaster with Henry the Hoover, whose bum's right out the window now, anybody who wants to come and dust my lounge, you're very welcome. But after she left here, she went to get some milk or something, and came across a man that was sitting outside the shop, wounded, freezing, and his mother just died, whole lot of circumstances. And she was moved to spend, not just give him money, which she did, but spent some time with him and shared her humanity with this man. And of course my answer to her was that once you're in touch with that inner core of who you really are, you're connected with Christ in all its guises, whether it's a tree that's growing and a child that's playing or a person that's suffering. Your eyes are opened to the wonder and the joy of that and the pain of that, and your heart is drawn to connect with that. And that's where there's no words actually, but the true joy of what it is to be living and to be here now is found in our ability to see and respond in whatever way we're called. So I'll only read you a wee bit of what I'd planned to read you the whole thing, but just you'll find all of John O'Donoghue's writings are very available. Books are all on Amazon, but there's lots of stuff online. You'll hear his lovely voice. And it was lovely that this man who's, say, living in a van at the moment, again, he's got access to the internet. He's a veteran. I'm trying to put him in touch with some veteran services. He was able to hear John's voice and hear that wonderful Celtic lilt of his the music of his language, but again, it comes from a very deep part of himself, you know. I won't be able to emulate that, but I'll have a bash at reading some of his words. If I can see through my steamed up glasses now, Maggie. Anyway, the great law of life is be yourself. Though this axiom sounds simple, it's often a difficult task, as I know from the people that I work with. To be yourself, you have to learn how to become who you were dreamed to be. Each person has a unique destiny. To be born is to be chosen. There's something special that each of us has to do in the world. If someone else could do it, they'd be here instead of you. One of the fascinating questions is to decipher just what one's destiny is. At the heart of each destiny is hidden a unique life calling. And that's not a job, by the way. That's not the success as measured by school and politics and churches, you know, getting on in life. That can be a very small part of it, but it's not what it's about. What is it that you are called to do? In old-fashioned language, what is your vocation in life? And as a mother of 9 grandchildren who are starting to seek that in their adult life, it's given me great joy on Christmas Day, spending a wee while with Zach and my oldest daughter Emma's oldest son. He came here, and although he's having to do it all online, he's doing a master's degree with Stornoway University on Celtic studies, and to know that I have a library that if I drop down dead tomorrow is of some value to the exploration, especially the whole Celtic thing, not just because I'm Scottish, but there's a connection there. Sort of before churches became so institutionalized in their buildings and their structures, there's a connection in Celtic spirituality with nature, with water, with soil, above all with air, with the basic elements that we have to respect and nurture, or we're all doomed. We're doomed if we don't get those bits right. And that's what I value about Celtic spirituality, is it honours that, it honours our relationship with it, it honours our knowledge of the seasons. Only just this last year I've become, because it's been the opportunity, I've become quite involved in astrology, which I had no gift for before, and even tarot reading, which again I have no personal gift for, but to recognise that others do. A bit like my daughter Gwen, you know, she'd pick up a sheet of music and I would see the squiggles. And I learned a wee bit when I was at school about what they all meant. But Gwen would pick it up and immediately start to hum the tune, just from the squiggles on it. So we all have different gifts of discernment and interpretation and deep connectedness, and what will turn me on, i.e. getting out there in the muck and the dirt and digging a hole, and or this year it's going to be my old bath has come up from Pin Punt, and one of the people that I'm working with had a very traumatic experience earlier, and we're now going to create something beautiful out of that bath. Watch this space. That's what turns me on. That's what I feel connected with a seed that knows it's an oak tree or a mustard seed, but it honours that intelligence, that internal intelligence of who it is, and that's incumbent of each of us. Very often from that moment of birth it's been distorted or squeezed or limited or threatened, so we end up having all these defences, and these defences not only get keep us safe from out there, but they block us from ourselves. Again, it's beyond words, and you have to find your own relationship with these things. But I've just met so many people, and one of them, Peter Tagores, I think the name is, it's got Not Church, excellent. Again, he's a minister, but so many people now experiencing near-death experiences because we can resuscitate and bring them back, and they can record very, very common experiences of. I've had two myself, so. And again, didn't want to speak about them because I thought, oh, maybe it's me, I'm crazy, what have you. I'm kind of work as a social worker if I'm these things. But now I think, oh yeah, it's normal. It's okay to talk about these things. So that common experience that we're having as human beings, that we're not just our wee story, we're not limited to this time and space and this body, that there's an awareness that we can tap into if we do the spade work of getting rid of the boundaries and the defences rather that we've built up over life. I'm sure I'm right off the tracks here, but then that's Maggie in the mouth, there's no guarantee where she'll land up. So to get back to John, I'll finish off with him now. One of the consequences of the first harmony is to come to an understanding of who you are and how God, in whatever way you see God, I don't see him as a wee man up there with a beard and a rule book. God for me is the source of all, with many names. We've got 1,000 names. None of them any more important than the other. This is our human need to label something. God, Allah. That oneness of love and creativity, which wrote the rules or the laws of whether it was a mustard seed or an oak tree or a cat or a human being. Each entity, being true to its core, expresses itself fully in its lifetime. And we as human beings perhaps have some gifts, which your stone, your rocks. I've got some of those that are precious to me too. I think we're starting to see it in our relationship with animals in many ways. But we have a personal responsibility because we do have these words, and these words can wound as well as inform, and we get stuck in the words. And people like John O'Donoghue or Peter, that I'll leave a wee reference to, are calling us beyond, to listen beyond the words. So you came into a peace about yourself instead of the constant struggle with the things you don't like about yourself when you go through that process. Beyond that, you will find it there. The light at the centre of your soul, and you begin to understand and appreciate your unique place in the scheme of things. So remember the prayer in whatever language you speak. Zikomo in Chinyanja. Merci in French. Danke, danke sehr in German. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Welcome home. Come ben the hoose and bide a wee while. Namaste. Love from me to you. We are one.